Today we're showing a few examples over the past weekend of some iffy umpiring decisions. If there are other decisions you'd like me to look at, please check the description where you can complete a survey of a decision or an incident you'd like to see me cover. Make my life easier and tell me the exact point of where the incident happened in the game as well. Without further ado, let's do it. First up, the Pies' first goal looked a little bit how you going. Adams gives a shove to Guthrie, which, well, 2 hands in the back is called 9 times out of 10, but not in this case. Is it because he didn't fall to ground and break his neck on the fencing, or because he kept his feet and stayed somewhat in the contest? Blinds me, honestly. The ball is still alive, and Myercheck with an open shot and a Ratagalier says not today with a blistering tackle but not holding the ball, which again is quite strange. Let's have a look at the rules, eh? So we've been through this numerous times on the channel, but let's get at it again. There are 4 decisions of holding the ball in this sport: holding the ball, prior opportunity, incorrect disposal, no genuine attempt, and diving on top of the ball. We only need to look at 2 of the 4 definitions for this first example. Prior opportunity is also defined as a designation to a player in possession of the football who is balanced and steady, or attempts to evade or fend an opponent, or has taken a mark or been awarded a free kick, or has driven their head into a stationary or near stationary opponent. Did Myercheck have prior opportunity? The only real option we have to look at is balanced and steady, which doesn't have a definition because it's what the umpire deems as with everything on the ground. Now, footy is a fast-paced game, we know this, and for me it's easy to slow shit down and call out their flaws, but let's have a closer look. Myercheck first receives the ball from Adams with Ratagalier in frame, which is a good indication to the viewers at home that shit is about to go down, because he's not going to have enough time to dispose of the ball. Is he balanced and steady? He takes 1 step towards goals, drops the ball going down to his boot with a tackle being made, and loses control. He did definitely have control of the football, and in all honesty did look balanced and steady, because those words have definitions too, like he isn't falling over and his 2 feet are on the ground, and he took the ball cleanly. Since there isn't a time of judgment with these prior opportunity holding the ball decisions, it makes it extremely difficult to make a call, and a real 50-50 this one is. I'm definitely more leaning to the fair decision based on how fast everything was, with Myercheck only having the ball for half a bee's dick. Incorrect disposal was shouted around the ground and the game as well, but there are 2 things with this rule. Firstly, incorrect disposal removes the prior opportunity from the rule, but if the player genuinely attempts to correctly dispose of the football, or the legal tackle causes the football to be dislodged from the player's possession, the umpire has every right, and should do, to call play on. In this case, Myercheck was attempting to kick the ball correctly, so incorrect disposal cannot be called. We've got a non-high call with Ginnivan head over the ball and taken around the arms, which drifts up to the shoulders late in the tackle. Another weird one. Guinea definitely wants it. O'Connor starts the tackle well, and then Guinea puts his arm out to the surface for protection, which then makes the tackle slip high where a free kick should have been paid. We can't fault Guinea for wanting to protect himself, and O'Connor couldn't stay level with him. Whether it's after the whistle was blown or not, high contact is high contact, and a free kick should have been awarded. The third quarter commenced with what should have been a recalled bounce. The momentum in favour of the Pies, and all Stanley can do is look at the ball without a proper contest from a vertical leap. The ball is then cleared forward, and McStay with an easy uncontested mark and goal, which allows the Pies to take the lead and momentum of the game. I get that the ball is still in the circle and the Sharon is a part of the game and the bounce can be funny, but geez, I've seen much better bounces recalled, which is why I think a lot of the fans got involved with this particular incident. The rule is based on what the umpire deems both rucks can contest for the ball. Sure, but Stanley isn't in an ideal position to contest the ball, as most players will lose a vertical leap to a charging Cameron. Would be nice to see they scrap the bounce for every goal kicked and have it only either at the start of the game to commence it, or at the start of every quarter, which in this case was at the start of the third, but should have been recalled in my opinion. So now we get into some fun ones after the AFL have come out giving themselves a score of 50%. Firstly, the one they think is correct is clearly wrong. The ball travelled out on the full without a doubt. I'll draw you a line if you're also not seeing clearly. We can tell because the physics and maths behind angles and shit. For instance, Maynard is this tall with the line not going further into the ground because the physics wouldn't be physicsing, and then we place a line with the ball to the ground and it's over the boundary line, just the same as Cameron's first step on the ground is over the line where he controls the ball. I quote from a statement from the AFL: "While the broadcast angle looks out of bounds, an additional angle points to Cameron taking the ball on the line and hence controlling the ball on the line." I wouldn't mind seeing this other angle they're describing, because it sure as shit ain't this one. Not even Blue's fucking clues could solve this fuckery. Where has Cameron controlled this ball on the line? Out of bounds should be called when there is a clear gap between the boundary line and the ball. The difficulty of decisions involving the curved boundary line should not be underestimated, and in this instance, we back the umpire that the correct call was made. Well, you can also back this umpire to have had nightmares after the abuse he would have copped. I get that this is a boundary line umpire decision, but wouldn't it be great to see a discussion with the on-field umpires as well, or at least consult with the other boundary line umpire in future decisions? It's one of those cases where footy is supposed to be a fast sport with little downtime on the field for decisions, but with the introduction to the ARC and other slowdown features like on-field player injuries, it's becoming more evolved, and I don't know whether it's evolving or devolving, but like most things, it's either forgotten the next day and we move on, or it's talked about forever. You'd just about think that the biggest sport in Australia would have the money, considering expensive memberships, merch, tickets to the games, etc. would have a positive impact on the decisions and rules in the game, with technology actually being up to standard and not 10 years behind. 4K cameras would be a start. I get that the AFL are trying to broaden the game with the gather round in Adelaide and games in Ballarat and Darwin, so it'd be difficult to have that much money to spend on every single ground around the game, but to have good quality cameras around the major grounds with actual ball tracking technology, proper slow motion, not poor quality frame by frame that misses its intended purpose, it would mean faster and better decisions being made on field, and I'm sure that the AFL could conjure something up even if they need consultants from the US. We've got record-breaking memberships and crowd numbers this year, but the quality is still 10 years behind. Enough of the rant, we've got the second decision, which was the worst of the bunch. Closes mark the ball near the boundary line, and Cameron, wandering behind him, get the hands off and flushes a very good goal that never should have happened in the first place. Cameron, not even on the playing turf, receives the ball a good metre and a half over the line. Play on is called with the ball being out of bounds, and again, it's not called. He's only just kicked this inside the actual playing field, so very blatant this one, and here's what the AFL said. Out of bounds should have been called. Yep, that's it. It's great that they defend themselves like an armoured van, but when it comes to admitting defeat and wrongfulness, they get straight to the point and move on like nothing happened. In hindsight, there isn't anything you can do, but at least tell people that there are changes being made for the upcoming rounds, or that they are looking at a revamp of the out of bounds rule, or just tell me that you make good cookies because one line isn't near enough for a goal, which could have costed the game. Lastly, we've got the call everyone has been talking about, Petrarca versus the goal umpire. A great thumping kick towards the goals, and Petrarca never usually lets you down. It looks like it's sailing through and only just lands through the goals, and the goal umpire straight away indecisive. As soon as this is going to score review, you know instantly whether it's going to be a goal or not based on the soft call rule, which is rubbish and should only be used in cricket, and even then it shouldn't be used because if the ball is hitting the stumps, it's hitting the stumps. None of this half ball shit. Anyways, Melbourne fans are happy and think it's a goal. Live I thought it was a goal, but let's have a look. Umpire's call is touched, which means that we need some real hard evidence for this shit to be overturned. Keep in mind that Marchbank straight away thought he had touched it. Not that it means anything to the rules, but usually you can tell if a player touches the ball or not. First angle is horse shit. Literally would rather see a black screen than this. The second one is just as bad. Like, holy shit. How about the most obvious angle, a side on one first, so we don't take 9 months waiting for this so-called fast-paced sport to have an outcome. Me. Even then, we have a shitty 10 FPS camera that only does one frame a year that doesn't get the call any closer than what is played live. In fact, you're probably better off playing this live to see the trajectory of the ball. Fans think it misses his left hand but clips his right arm, although that's very hard to see. Others think it hits his knee. I haven't got half a clue, but what I'll do is I'll speed her up for you so we can see it somewhat live. Even I can't get it in live action, but it may appear that the ball changes slightly after coming off the player's right arm. It's hard to tell, and if the soft decision was a goal, then it would have gone Melbourne's way. So it was literally all determined by the goal umpire's on-field call, which now has wasted even more time considering the ARC did goal. Maybe if the on-field umpire called an arm chop in the marking contest from Van Rooyen, it would have been problem solved, but we're mainly here for the score review. I've already been through changing the technology, but surely someone in the AFL has half a brain and can use thermal cameras like Hotspot, or instead of the one shitty camera placed up high looking down, get multiple cameras in the posts that have better recording and playback capabilities than a potato, because what we're currently using to review plays is laughable. Either get better shit or remove the entire system and go back to the old ways of umpiring. Before we head off, have a look at these D's fans.
Fuck off. That's bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Something like that. Then the one on the left, much easier to read.
No, that's bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
You gotta love footy fans. Doesn't matter who they are. Unreal scenes. Well, that's my spiel and 2 cents on what happened this past weekend. I hope it sheds some light on the few instances that were heavily mainstreamed in the news and with fans. If there are any other decisions, like I said, fill out that survey. Only takes a minute or 2. And if you put your name in there, I'll be able to shout you out with what you wanted covered on this channel. Play on AFL. Things do better with fun and laughter.